my name is Gabby, and I'm an animal caretaker and educator out here at Back to the Wild. And today I'm going to talk to you about one of my favorite animals, the bobcat. And right here is our ambassador bobcat. He might look like a big house kitty to some, but he is not. He is a wild animal. For him to be this close to me or rubbing up against me is not always normal. He is sometimes very aggressive too, because wild animals can be unpredictable. Unfortunately, someone took him out of the wild illegally when he was just a bobcat, and they stole him out of his nest and took him home and tried to keep him as a pet. They kept him for about 3 months, and then luckily a neighbor realized what was happening and told a wildlife officer, someone there to protect wildlife, about what was happening. And the wildlife officer confiscated our bobcat. But unfortunately, the damage was too far done. He was already imprinted on people, and he was declawed in all 4 of his paws. He can't exactly hunt or defend himself without those claws, right? He needs those. And since he wasn't raised by other bobcats, he doesn't exactly know how to be like a bobcat out in the wild. So, unfortunately, he can never return to the wild, because imagine if you were raised by bobcats, right? And not humans. You wouldn't know how to be a human or act like a human. So he can never go back, but luckily he has a great life here with us, and he's able to educate thousands of people about his kind. Bobcats are native to Ohio, but we generally don't see them up here in northern Ohio. We see them more down in southeastern Ohio, where there's lots of rocky, hilly habitat for them to den in, and meadows and forests for them to hunt in. They don't really like dispersed or fragmented forests or a lot of agriculture, which is a lot of what we have up here north. Bobcats actually used to be very, very common in the state of Ohio prior to us settling here. But there were no laws or regulations on hunting, so in the 1850s they were actually extirpated from the state of Ohio. So that's just a fancy way of saying they went extinct, which means there were no longer any bobcats at all in the state of Ohio, right? But luckily we knew we made a mistake, and we knew we could possibly fix it. So in the 1990s, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service reintroduced bobcats to the state of Ohio. And they did so well, in fact, that in 2012, they came off the endangered species list. So they're definitely here. However, you probably might not ever see a bobcat in the wild, not only because of their numbers, but because they're so elusive and secretive. They only really like to come out at dusk or dawn or at night, and they like to be deep in the forest as well. So that's a good reason why you might never see them. However, if you do see them out in the wild, they're very easily distinguishable from other cats. They're about twice the size of your average house cat, so they're a pretty big kitty compared to your little house cat that you have at home. They have short, dense fur that's tan. They have a white underbelly with black spots on their legs. He's kind of not showing us very well, but that's okay. And he has black tufts on his ear and a lot of fluff around his face. And of course, he has a bobbed tail. So that's actually how they got their name bobcat, because of their tail. It's really short, and they were actually born like that. It's just a genetic mutation that stayed with them throughout the years. And that's maybe because they like to hunt primarily on the ground, and they're hunting rodents and rabbits and fish and amphibians, which means that they're predators out there in the wild. They like to hunt the smaller guys and, eat them. And that's just the circle of life, kind of. It's nature out there. So it's an important thing for them to do. So bobcats are predators, right? And some predators can be scary to people. But it's important to remember that we need to coexist with predators out there in the wild, because they're an important part of our ecosystem and the food chain. If we took away something like a bobcat or coyotes from the food chain, the chain would break, right? And that could have drastic effects on not only us, but other animals. And that's not the only good thing that predators do for us. They help slow the spread of disease, and they also create habitat for other animals by controlling grazing populations like rabbits or deer out there in the wild. So our trees and our shrubbery and our grasses stay nice and healthy, and that creates lots of habitat for the smaller animals. So you can see that predators like bobcats have an important role to play out there. Alright guys, that's all I have to tell you about our bobcat here and bobcats in general. If you have any questions, leave them down in the comments below. Thank you guys!